When I was going to Boston College, I actually lived in West Roxbury with some friends of the family, Phyllis and her kids. Phyllis is really more like family. Kelly, her daughter, is one of my best friends. I've literally known Kelly my entire life. And so I lived there because, well, I couldn't afford to live on campus. And it was only about 5.5 miles away from campus. So it was actually a great location. And I remember one night when I was at home, Phyllis and I had just finished having dinner, and we were sitting and we happened to be watching TV together. And at that time, Phyllis was into crocheting, and she was crocheting, I believe, a blanket at the time. And Phyllis had this uncanny ability that as soon as a commercial came on, she would fall asleep. And that's essentially what happened. The commercial came on while she was crocheting, and she fell asleep. And I happened to look over, and I could tell she was sound asleep. Her eyes were shut. It was clear. And yet, she continued crocheting. And she continued crocheting until she woke up. I was fascinated because I watched her the whole time because I couldn't believe that she was able to continue crocheting as she was sound asleep. And all of a sudden, she startled awake. You know how that happens. You just kind of startle awake. And I said, Phyllis, do you realize you've been asleep for about 5 minutes? Maybe it was 10. And you continue crocheting the entire time. And she looked down and she looked at all the work she had done while she was asleep and realized it was wrong. She may have continued crocheting, but she didn't stay online the way she should have, so she had to pull out all the work she had done. That can kind of happen to us in life if we think about it. We can kind of just fall asleep. We just sort of sleepwalk through life. We get into this pattern of what we do and we just keep doing it. We don't really take time to pause and to look if what we're doing is actually the right thing, whether it's following the right pattern, whether it's really good for us. We just have our pattern for what we do, and so we do it without any real thought. The interesting thing, I'm not going to say the pandemic is a good thing, because obviously it's not. So many bad things have happened to so many good people because of it. And so many other things are going to be happening because of it. But that doesn't mean we can't find some good in it. In a sense, maybe this is a moment where we can be startled awake. A moment to maybe just sort of stop and take stock of what it is we're doing. To maybe stop and see, have I really simply been sleepwalking? When again, we think about the disciples. They had been following Jesus before he died. And like I said before, they had these visions of what Jesus was supposed to do. They had these ideas of how things were supposed to happen. And they had their ways of understanding how it is to follow the Lord, what it is to follow Jesus. And then he died. And everything changed. And then they heard those amazing stories that he rose, and some of them directly encountered Christ. And they had to stop and look at their faith. They had to stop and look at their understanding of the world. They had to stop and look at the life they were living and really see if that was the right way they should be going. And most of the time they realized it wasn't. The resurrection of Jesus changed everything. The resurrection of Jesus changed the whole picture. And they realized they kind of had to rip things out to get back to where they were supposed to be. Maybe this is an opportunity for all of us to do that. We all have been forced, in a sense, to stop. And it's really uncomfortable when that happens. It's unsettling. Because life isn't what it was supposed to be. Or maybe the problem is life wasn't what it was supposed to be. And this is a moment for us to discover what it really should be. This could be a moment of conversion for us, a moment to accept the challenge of following Jesus more fully. It's uncomfortable when we have to look at our lives and see if things need to change. So the question right now we can really ask ourselves is, have I kind of been asleep and just going through the motions? Do I need to sort of stop and look at the work I've done and sort of discard the stuff that isn't quite right? Is it a moment where I can understand the way God wants me to go and simply wake up and start doing that? God bless.